everyone. Ready to dive into something really mind-bending today?
I think so.
We're going to tackle the world of quantum supercomputers. You sent us some pretty cool research,
Oh, yeah.
a paper called How to Build a Quantum Supercomputer, Scaling Challenges and Opportunities.
That's the one.
So we're talking about machines that could crack codes in seconds
Right.
that would take our best computers billions of years.
Like, whoa.
It's exciting stuff.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be easy.
It's definitely not going to be easy.
And that's why we're here.
That's right.
To break it all down.
Exactly.
So what's so different about quantum computer? I mean, they're not just computing faster.
Right. They operate in a totally different way.
Okay.
They harness
Explain it.
the strangeness of quantum mechanics
Whoa. Okay.
to solve problems in fields like medicine, material science, artificial intelligence, you name it.
So the potential is huge.
Yeah. Huge.
Okay, so you know me.
I do.
I love a good challenge.
Yeah.
So let's unpack this a bit.
Let's do it.
The paper lays out some serious hurdles, right, to making these quantum supercomputers a reality.
Absolutely.
So,
paper
what are we up against?
doesn't shy away from the complexities.
Okay, good.
It highlights 4 critical parameters that we really need to kind of nail down.
Okay, hit me.
Quality, quantity, speed, and connectivity.
Okay, so the 4 pillars of scaling.
Exactly. The 4 pillars of scaling quantum computers.
Ooh, I like that.
There you go.
Okay, so let's start with quality.
Let's do it.
What makes a good qubit?
It all boils down to error rates.
Okay.
A good qubit is one that maintains its quantum state.
It's coherence.
Its coherence,
Yeah.
yes. Long enough to perform calculations reliably.
So we're talking about minimizing errors
Yes.
that can mess things up.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So it's not just about how many qubits we have.
Right.
It's how well they behave.
That's like a choir.
Yeah.
One off-key singer can ruin the whole performance.
I love that analogy.
I thought you might.
Okay, so the paper also introduces this idea of tailedness,
Yes.
which focuses on those outlier qubits,
Right.
the ones with the worst performance.
Yeah.
So it turns out even a small percentage of bad qubits
Yeah.
can totally drag down the system.
For sure.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Even one weak link can break a chain, right?
Exactly.
So how do we make sure our qubits are top-notch?
Well, researchers are looking at a few strategies.
Okay.
One promising area involves borrowing techniques from the semiconductor industry.
So we're using the same tech that makes our smartphones to build these quantum marvels.
Yeah, think about the precision and control
It's crazy.
used to manufacture computer chips.
Yeah.
So applying those same principles to qubit fabrication
Okay.
could lead to a significant reduction in errors.
That's cool.
It is pretty cool.
But the paper also talks about these things called TLS defects.
Yes.
What are those?
Okay, so TLS defects,
And why are they
or two-level system defects,
such a pain?
they're these tiny imperfections in the materials we use to build qubits.
Okay.
Think of them as little traps that can steal energy from our qubits.
So they're messing with the energy.
Yes, causing their performance to drift over time.
Like a piano going out of tune.
Yes, it's like having to retune your piano every few hours.
That's annoying.
It's incredibly frustrating.
Okay, so better fabrication can help with that tailedness issue.
For sure.
But we also need to tackle these TLS defects if
Yeah.
we want our quantum computers to stay in tune.
To stay in tune, exactly.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to the next parameter.
Okay.
What about quantity?
Right.
How many qubits are we aiming for here?
Millions.
Millions.
Millions of qubits.
Okay.
To achieve the true, mind-blowing capabilities of quantum computing.
So we're talking.
Like simulating complex molecules for drug discovery or breaking encryption codes that are currently unbreakable.
Okay.
Those tasks require immense quantum computing power. And to get there, we need a whole lot of qubits.
Okay, so millions is a huge leap from
Oh, yeah.
the few hundred we have today.
Absolutely.
What are the challenges of building at that scale?
Well, imagine trying to wire and package millions of these delicate microscopic qubits.
Oh my gosh.
It quickly becomes a logistical nightmare
Yeah,
with challenges in terms of space, heat dissipation, and complexity.
right.
Even the act of cooling these systems down
Oh yeah.
to near absolute zero, which is necessary for their operation,
Right.
requires enormous amounts of energy.
So are we talking a quantum computer the size of a house?
Potentially. It's not entirely out of the realm of possibility.
Wow.
But thankfully, researchers are exploring some clever solutions.
Oh, good.
One idea is wafer scale integration,
Okay.
where we build entire quantum processors on a single wafer,
So like computer chips.
similar to how computer chips are manufactured.
Okay.
This could significantly reduce the wiring complexity
So it makes things smaller.
and potentially make these systems more compact and energy efficient.
That would be great.
You would.
Okay, so quantity presents a whole new set of challenges.
It does.
But let's not forget about speed.
Yes, speed. Speed is key.
What's the need for speed in the quantum world?
This is a crucial point.
Okay.
Even if we manage to build a quantum computer with millions of high-quality qubits,
Okay.
if they operate at a snail's pace, we won't be able to harness their true power.
Okay.
Some problems, even with millions of qubits, could still take months or even years to solve
Months or years.
if our qubits are too slow.
That defeats the purpose.
Exactly. That's why speed is such a critical factor.
Yeah.
We need qubits that can perform calculations quickly and efficiently, allowing us to reap the benefits of quantum computation in a reasonable time frame.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got quality, quantity, and speed.
Yes.
What about the fourth parameter, connectivity?
Okay.
What does that even mean when we're talking about qubits?
So connectivity refers to the ability of qubits to interact and share information with each other.
Okay, so they need to talk to each other.
They need to talk to each other.
Okay.
Think of it like a network of roads in a city.
Right.
If the roads are well connected, traffic flows smoothly.
Yeah, that makes
Similarly, if our qubits are well connected, information can be exchanged efficiently,
Gotcha.
allowing us to perform more complex computations.
Okay, so what are the challenges in ensuring good connectivity between like millions of qubits?
Again, it comes down to finding the right balance.
Okay.
Some types of qubits have limited connectivity,
Okay.
meaning they can only interact with their nearest neighbors.
Right.
Others, like atomic systems, have all-to-all connectivity,
Oh, crap.
allowing any qubit to interact with any other qubit,
Wow.
regardless of distance.
So it's like choosing between a small town with a few well-paved roads
Yeah,
or a sprawling city with a complex network of highways.
exactly.
That's a good one.
And just like with cities, there are trade-offs to consider.
Okay.
Systems with limited connectivity might be easier to build and control,
Okay.
but less efficient for certain computations.
Right.
Systems with all-to-all connectivity offer more flexibility, but come with their own set of engineering challenges.
So it's all about finding the right balance.
Exactly.
It's like a giant puzzle.
It is. It's a puzzle with billions of pieces.
Oh my gosh.
And we're just starting to figure out how they all fit together.
This is already fascinating.
I know, right?
And we've only just scratched the
I
surface.
think got a lot more to cover.
The paper goes on to discuss the specific challenges at different qubit scales,
It does.
from the NESQ era
Right.
to the mind-blowing world of fault-tolerant quantum computing.
That's right.
Okay,
The journey of scaling quantum computers.
before we set sail into those uncharted waters,
Yes.
let's take a quick pause and recap
Okay.
what we've learned so far about these four pillars of quantum scaling.
That's a great idea.
Ah,
Right. Yeah. It's important to solidify the foundation before we build upon it.
I like that. I try.
All right. So we've established that building a quantum supercomputer is like embarking on an incredible expedition.
It is.
Right.
It requires a deep understanding of quantum mechanics,
Definitely.
mastering cutting-edge fabrication techniques,
Yeah.
and a willingness to grapple with mind-bending concepts like superposition and decoherence.
For sure. It really does feel like we're setting sail for uncharted territory.
It does.
And as you said,
Yeah,
we need a solid map to guide us.
we do.
The research paper provides that map,
Yes,
right? Outlining the challenges and opportunities at different qubit scales.
exactly. And the first landmark on our map
Okay.
is where we are right now,
Hit me.
the NICE-Q era.
Nice Q era.
It's got a good ring to it.
It sounds like something out of Star Trek.
Right.
What exactly does that mean?
It stands for Noisy Intermediate Scale Quantum,
Okay.
which is a fancy way of saying we're working with quantum computers that have between 100 and 1,000 qubits.
These systems are already showing a lot of potential.
So we're seeing some results.
They're powerful enough to perform certain tasks beyond the reach of even the most powerful classical computers.
That's amazing.
It is.
So we're already seeing glimpses of what these machines can do.
Absolutely.
It's exciting.
But it's important to remember the noisy part of NISQ.
Right.
These systems are still very susceptible to errors.
It's like having a powerful engine,
Yes.
but a shaky steering wheel.
Yeah.
You can go fast,
Right.
But you don't always have full control.
Perfect analogy.
Right.
Yeah.
And one of the major hurdles in the NISQ era is something called the fat tail of errors.
The fat tail.
Fat tail.
It's a very descriptive term.
What does that refer to?
So think of it this way.
Okay.
Imagine you're looking at the performance of all the qubits in a system.
Right.
Most of them are pretty good
Okay.
with low error rates.
Right.
But then you have this small percentage of qubits, the outliers, that are significantly worse. They form the fat tail of the distribution.
So it's like having a class of students where most are getting A's and B's.
Right.
But then you have a few students who are failing miserably.
Exactly.
Yep.
And they drag down the class F.
Bringing the whole thing down.
And in quantum computing, these outlier qubits can really cripple the entire system.
The paper mentions some data from IBM Heron processors that
Yes.
showed this fat tail effect.
It showed that even with improvements in average qubit performance,
Right.
those outlier qubits persist.
They're stubborn.
They are.
Yeah.
And they can significantly impact the overall reliability of the quantum computer.
So how do we deal with these bad apples? Can we just, ignore them?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay.
We need to find ways to either eliminate them or mitigate their effects.
Okay.
And this is where those advanced fabrication techniques we discussed earlier come in.
Yeah.
By improving the manufacturing process, we can reduce the likelihood of creating those outlier qubits in the first place.
So tighter quality control.
Precisely. It's about bringing the same level of precision and control that we have in semiconductor manufacturing to the quantum realm.
Okay.
And the paper also highlights the need for constant recalibration.
Oh, yeah. I remember reading about that. It sounds like a pain.
It is. It is a real-time suck.
Yeah, that's right.
Remember those TLS defects we talked about?
Yeah.
Those pesky imperfections in the materials?
Yeah.
Well, they're constantly fluctuating, causing the performance of the qubits to drift over time.
So they need constant attention.
So we need to regularly recalibrate the system to compensate for these drifts.
Oh, man.
It's like having to constantly retune your guitar every few minutes just to keep it in tune.
That would get old fast.
It would.
And as we scale up to thousands of qubits, this recalibration problem becomes even more daunting.
Imagine trying to conduct an orchestra where every instrument goes out of tune every few minutes.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Right.
It's a lot of work.
It is.
Okay, so we've got the fat tail of errors, the recalibration headache, and then to top it all off,
What else could go wrong?
we have cosmic rays.
Ah, yes. The cosmic rays.
This is wild.
This was a fascinating discovery
Yeah.
by Google researchers a few years back.
Yeah, I remember reading about that.
They found that these high-energy particles
From outer space.
raining down on us from outer space can actually flip the state of a qubit,
No way!
introducing errors.
So particles from outer space are messing with our quantum computers.
It's crazy.
What's amazing?
It highlights the extreme sensitivity of these systems
Right.
and the need for robust error mitigation strategies.
So it's like we're building a fortress
Yes.
to protect our precious qubits from these cosmic invaders.
Exactly. Researchers are exploring various techniques
Okay.
to shield quantum computers from cosmic rays,
What kind of things are they doing?
such as building them deep underground or using specialized shielding materials.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think that we're battling against decoherence, TLS defects, and cosmic rays.
All just to make these qubits behave.
All just to make these qubits behave.
Exactly.
It's a lot of work.
It is.
But let's say we overcome all of these challenges
Okay.
and we manage to build a system with 1,000, even 10,000 qubits.
Okay.
What new hurdles do we face then?
Well, as we move beyond the NISQ era
Okay.
and into the realm of larger scale quantum computers,
Right.
the challenges shift from individual qubit control
Okay.
to system-level integration and complexity.
It's like going from building a bicycle to building a spaceship.
Exactly.
Right.
The complexity increases exponentially.
Wow.
And one of the biggest challenges we encounter at this scale
Okay.
is the sheer difficulty of wiring and packaging these systems.
I can imagine.
We're not just talking about connecting a few wires here.
No.
We're talking about thousands, potentially millions of delicate connections,
Oh my God.
all crammed into a space smaller than a refrigerator.
So space is a problem.
Space is a huge problem.
Right.
And not only do we have to worry about space, but we also have to consider heat dissipation.
Right. Because these systems operate.
Remember, these systems operate at temperatures close to absolute zero.
It's freezing.
And the more wires we have, the more heat we generate.
So it's like trying to keep a giant freezer cold while running a space heater inside it.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
So we need to develop innovative solutions
Okay.
to manage the heat load.
What kind of solutions?
And this is where wafer scale integration, which we discussed earlier, becomes even more crucial.
It seems like that's a recurring theme.
It is.
Keeps coming up.
Right. Building the entire quantum processor on a single wafer could significantly reduce the number of wires and connections, making it easier to manage the heat and complexity.
Okay. So wafer scale integration is key.
It's key.
Gotcha.
But even with wafer scale integration, we still need to figure out how to control all those qubits.
Right.
And that brings us to another major challenge. Control electronics.
Okay, so we're talking about the brains of the operation.
Exactly.
The electronics that tell the qubits what to do.
Yes.
Okay.
And as we scale up to thousands or even millions of qubits, the control electronics become incredibly complex.
Of course.
We need to generate precise signals to manipulate the qubits.
Right.
And we need to do it in a way that's both scalable and energy efficient.
It's a lot to ask.
It is.
So it's not just about having powerful electronics.
Right.
It's about having smart electronics.
Exactly. They can orchestrate this quantum symphony with precision and finesse.
I like that.
Thanks, a good one.
I try.
And this is where collaboration with the semiconductor industry becomes even more critical.
Their expertise in chip design and fabrication
Yeah.
will be crucial in developing the advanced control systems needed for large-scale quantum computers.
So we're talking about a convergence of quantum physics and semiconductor engineering.
Absolutely.
Building a quantum supercomputer is a truly multidisciplinary effort, requiring expertise from a wide range of fields.
Okay, so we're tackling wiring, packaging, and control electronics.
Yeah.
But what about the software side of things? Surely programming a quantum computer is a whole other beast, right?
You're absolutely right. Programming a quantum computer is a fundamentally different challenge than programming a classical computer.
Okay.
We need to develop entirely new programming languages, algorithms, and tools that can harness the unique capabilities of these machines.
So it's not just about learning a new coding language.
Right.
It's like developing a whole new way of thinking about computation.
Precisely.
Right.
And this is where the concept of circuit knitting comes in.
Circuit knitting. That sounds intriguing.
Yeah.
What is that?
So imagine you have a complex quantum algorithm that you want to run.
Okay.
But your quantum computer doesn't have enough qubits to handle it all at once. Circuit knitting allows you to break down that large algorithm into smaller chunks that can be run sequentially on a smaller quantum computer.
So we're essentially stitching together
Yes.
a complex computation from smaller pieces.
Exactly. It's like solving a giant jigsaw puzzle by working on smaller sections and then piecing them together.
I could see that.
But as you can imagine,
Yeah.
circuit knitting introduces its own set of challenges.
Like what?
Well, for one, it adds overhead.
Okay.
Each time you have to stitch together these smaller circuits, you lose some efficiency.
Right.
And as we scale up to larger and more complex algorithms, this overhead can become a significant bottleneck.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we need to develop more efficient knitting techniques.
Exactly. Researchers are constantly working on improving circuit knitting algorithms to minimize the overhead and make this technique more practical for large-scale quantum computation.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got circuit knitting to contend with.
We do.
What other software challenges are on the horizon?
Well, as we move towards larger scale, fault-tolerant quantum computers, the complexity of software development just explodes.
Okay.
We need to develop sophisticated tools for error correction, compilation, and debugging, all while taking into account the unique characteristics of quantum hardware.
It sounds like we're building a whole new software ecosystem.
You are.
From the ground up.
From the ground up.
That's amazing.
And this is where the concept of a quantum operating system becomes crucial.
Quantum operating system.
Yeah, think about it.
That sounds like a whole other...
We need a software layer that can manage the allocation and scheduling of quantum resources, handle error correction, and provide a platform for running quantum applications.
Wow. So it's like the conductor of a quantum orchestra.
It is, ensuring all the different instruments are playing in harmony.
That's a great analogy.
Thanks.
Okay, so developing a robust and efficient quantum operating system is one of the key challenges.
Absolutely.
For realizing the full potential of quantum computing.
It is.
But the journey doesn't end there.
No, it doesn't.
Right.
The ultimate prize lies beyond these hurdles.
Me.
The realm of fault-tolerant quantum computing.
Fault-tolerant quantum computing.
It's got a good ring to it, too.
It does.
Yeah.
It sounds like the holy grail of this whole field.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's where things get really interesting.
Okay, so we've journeyed through the NISQ era.
We have.
We've tackled the scaling gauntlet.
We did.
And now we're standing at the precipice
Yes.
of fault-tolerant quantum computing.
We are.
It sounds like we're about to enter a whole new dimension.
It is a realm where quantum computers shed their limitations and truly shine.
Okay.
Fault-tolerant quantum computing, or FTQC, allows us to overcome the inherent fragility of qubits and perform long, complex calculations with incredible accuracy.
But how do we actually achieve this fault tolerance?
Right. It sounds almost magical.
Yeah.
Like we're defying the laws of physics.
Really does.
It's not magic, but it does rely on some incredibly clever techniques.
All right, I'm listening.
The key is something called quantum error correction codes, or QECCs.
Quantum error correction codes, okay.
These codes allow us to encode quantum information redundantly across multiple physical qubits.
So instead of having one qubit carrying a single piece of information,
Yes.
we spread it out over multiple qubits.
Exactly.
Kind of like having backup singers for each soloist.
That's a fantastic analogy.
Right. Ensuring the melody continues even if one voice falters.
Exactly.
Right.
And the research paper
Yeah.
dives into a specific type of QECC called surface codes.
Surface codes.
Yeah.
Okay.
These are particularly interesting because they only require local interactions between qubits,
Okay.
which makes them easier to implement on a 2D chip.
So surface codes.
Uh-huh.
Got it.
But the paper also mentions something called magic state distillation.
And that, my friend, sounds seriously magical.
It does have a certain mystique to it.
It does.
Magic state distillation is another critical piece of the puzzle for achieving universal quantum computation with FTQC.
Gotcha.
It allows us to create these special resource states
Okay.
called magic states
Magic states.
that we can then use to perform a wider range of quantum operations.
So they're like special ingredients.
Think of them as special ingredients that unlock new culinary possibilities
Okay, I like that.
in our quantum kitchen.
Okay, so we're using these error correction codes and magic state distillation techniques
Yes,
to tame the quantum beast,
Right.
make it do our bidding.
exactly.
But even with these techniques, isn't there still a huge overhead
Yes,
in terms of the number of physical qubits we need?
absolutely.
Right.
FTQC requires a massive number of physical qubits
Okay,
to create even a small number of these error-protected logical qubits.
so how many are we talking?
We're talking about potentially needing billions of physical qubits
Billions.
to achieve the millions of logical qubits required for truly transformative applications.
That's mind-boggling.
It is a daunting challenge,
It really is.
and that's why researchers are exploring the concept of distributed FTQC,
Okay.
where we connect multiple smaller quantum computers together to create a larger, more powerful system.
So we're talking about building a network of quantum computers
Exactly.
all working together in unison.
It's like creating a quantum internet,
Wow.
where each quantum computer is a node in a vast network,
Okay.
all contributing to a shared computational task.
That's incredible.
It is.
But I imagine coordinating all those quantum computers is a massive undertaking.
It is. We need to rethink many aspects of computer architecture,
So like,
from how we design the interconnects between quantum processors
right.
to how we develop quantum operating systems that can manage these complex distributed systems.
It sounds like we're not just building quantum computers, we're
Right.
building an entirely new quantum computing infrastructure.
Exactly. And the research paper emphasizes the need for continued innovation in areas like circuit knitting, FTQC compilers, and real-time decoders.
So these tools are essential.
These tools will be crucial in making distributed FTQC a reality.
Okay, so we've gone from worrying about individual qubits to designing entire quantum ecosystems.
We have.
It's been quite a journey.
It has been a wild ride.
But amidst all this complexity, we can't forget about the ultimate goal, right?
Right.
Finding practical applications
Yes.
for these quantum supercomputers.
You're absolutely right.
Because it's not just about building the fastest, most powerful computer.
Yeah.
It's about harnessing that power to make a difference in the world.
Exactly. And the research paper
Yeah.
highlights some of the most promising areas for quantum applications,
Like what?
such as quantum simulation.
Quantum simulation.
Imagine being able to simulate the behavior of molecules
Okay.
at the atomic level.
Wow.
This could revolutionize drug discovery,
Okay.
allowing us to design new drugs with incredible precision and speed.
That would be amazing.
Or imagine simulating the properties of new materials,
Right.
leading to breakthroughs in renewable energy
Mm.
or advanced manufacturing.
So we're talking about using quantum computers to unlock the secrets of nature itself.
Precisely. The possibilities are truly endless.
That is wild.
And that's what makes this field so exciting.
I can see that.
While the path to building quantum supercomputers is long and challenging,
Yeah.
the potential rewards are immense.
Okay, I'm officially blown away.
I'm glad.
From battling cosmic rays to designing quantum operating systems.
It's a lot.
It feels like we're witnessing the birth of a technological revolution.
It's truly a remarkable time to be alive.
It is.
And it makes you wonder so we were talking about the NISQ era.
Right, the NISQ era.
This is where we are now.
Okay, and that means?
It stands for Noisy Intermediate Scale Quantum.
Right.
Basically, it means we're working with quantum computers that have between 100 and 1,000 qubits.
Okay, so not quite millions yet.
Not quite millions.
Gotcha.
But getting there, these systems are already showing a lot of potential.
Okay, that's exciting.
Yeah, they're powerful enough to perform certain tasks
Okay.
beyond the reach of even the most powerful classical computers.
So we're already seeing, like,
Glimpses of
what these things can do.
glimpses.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's important to remember the noisy part of
Yeah.
NISQ.
So they're still prone to errors,
They are.
right?
These systems are still very susceptible to errors.
And one of the major hurdles you said was the fat tail of errors.
A fat tail? Yeah.
So those are those outliers,
Right.
the qubits that just don't want to behave.
Exactly.
Right.
They're kind of the stragglers holding everyone back.
And even a small percentage of those
Oh, yeah.
can really mess things up.
They can really drag down the performance of the whole system.
And the paper mentioned some data
It did.
from the IBM Heron processors
Yeah.
showing this fat tail
Uh-huh.
pretty clear. Yeah, the data showed that even with improvements in like average performance,
Okay.
the outliers persist.
They're stubborn.
They're really stubborn.
So what do we do about that? Can we just, like, ignore them?
We can't, unfortunately.
Oh, man.
We wish we could,
Right.
but we have to find ways to either like eliminate them
Okay.
or mitigate their effects.
And that's where better fabrication comes in?
That's where better fabrication comes in.
So tighter quality control.
Yeah, exactly. Like imagine having a really good quality control system
Okay.
on a qubit assembly line.
Okay. I like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Catch those bad qubits early on.
So catch them early.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
And the paper also emphasizes the need for constant recalibration.
Right. I remember reading about that.
Yeah.
Because those TLS defects
Yes.
are constantly changing things.
They're always fluctuating,
Yeah.
causing those qubits to drift.
Yeah. It's like they need constant babysitting.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
do. It's kind of a pain. It's like having to retune your instruments every 5 minutes.
It would get tiring.
Yeah, it would.
Okay, so we've got the fat tail,
Mhm.
we've got recalibration,
Yep.
and then on top of that, we have to worry about cosmic rays.
Oh, yes.
I mean, come on.
the cosmic ray.
It's like the universe is against us on this one.
It feels that way sometimes.
So these particles from space,
Yes, high energy particles from space.
they can actually like flip the state of a qubit.
They can and introduce errors.
It's like they're sabotaging our experiments.
I know. It's wild, right?
It's pretty amazing.
It is.
So we have to like shield these computers,
We do?
right, from these cosmic rays.
Like building a fortress to protect your qubits
Exactly.
from these invaders from outer space.
And how do we do that?
Well, researchers are exploring different techniques,
Okay.
like building quantum computers deep underground,
Wow.
where they're shielded by layers of rock,
Interesting.
or using special shielding materials
Whoa.
to block those cosmic rays.
It's a lot of effort.
It is a lot of effort,
Right.
but it's necessary if we want to make these quantum computers work reliably.
Okay, so let's say we overcome all these challenges.
Okay.
We've got the fat tail under control.
Uh-huh.
We've got our recalibration routine down.
Yep.
We've built our cosmic ray fortress.
Go ahead.
We've got a system with 1,000, maybe even 10,000 qubits.
Right.
What's next? What new challenges pop up?
Well, as we move beyond the NISQ era and into the realm of larger scale systems,
Okay.
things get even more complex.
Of course they do.
The challenges shift from like controlling individual qubits
Okay.
to integrating and managing a massive number of them.
So it's like going from building a bicycle to
Yeah.
building a spaceship.
Exactly.
Right.
The complexity increases exponentially.
And one of the biggest challenges the paper talks about is wiring and packaging.
Wiring and packaging is a nightmare at this scale.
I can imagine.
Imagine trying to connect thousands,
Right.
maybe even millions of these tiny, delicate qubits.
Oh my God.
All crammed into a space smaller than your fridge.
So space is a huge issue?
Space is a huge issue.
Okay.
And then there's heat.
Right, because these things have to be kept.
These systems need to be kept incredibly cold,
Super cold.
close to absolute zero.
And all those wires?
Yeah, all those wires generate heat.
It's like trying to keep a freezer cold with a space heater running inside it.
Exactly. It's a constant battle against heat.
That's wild.
It is.
So it seems like wafer scale integration
Wafer scale integration is our friend.
is even more important at this scale.
It's crucial.
Right, to like minimize those connections.
Yeah, to reduce the wiring
To
complexity.
manage the heat.
Exactly.
Okay.
But even with wafer scale integration, we still need to control all those qubits.
Right.
And that brings us to another big challenge.
Okay.
Control electronics.
So we're talking about the brains of the operation.
The brains.
The electronics that tell the qubits what to do.
Right. And as we scale up, the control electronics get really complex.
I bet.
We need to generate super precise signals to manipulate the qubits.
Okay.
And we need to do it in a way that's scalable
Right.
and energy efficient.
So it's a tall order.
It's a tall order for sure.
So it's not just about having powerful electronics.
Okay.
It's about having smart electronics.
Yeah. Electronics that can orchestrate this massive quantum symphony.
That's a great analogy.
Thanks.
So it seems like the semiconductor industry
Oh, yeah.
is going to play a big role here.
They're going to be crucial partners
Right.
in developing the advanced control systems.
For these large-scale quantum computers.
Exciting.
It's like a marriage between
It's a beautiful marriage.
quantum physics and semiconductor engineering.
I love it.
Okay, so we've talked about wiring, packaging, control electronics.
Yeah.
Well, what about the software?
The software.
I mean, programming a quantum computer
Yeah.
must be a whole other challenge.
It's a whole other beast.
Right?
It's a completely different paradigm.
So we need new programming languages.
We do.
New algorithms.
New algorithms.
New tools.
New tools, new everything.
So it's not just like learning a new coding language.
No.
It's like a whole new way of thinking.
It's a fundamental shift in our understanding of computation.
Wow. And the paper talks about circuit knitting.
Yes. Circuit knitting.
That sounds like...
It's a fascinating concept.
So what is circuit knitting?
Okay, so imagine you have a really big quantum algorithm
Okay.
that you want to run,
Mm-hmm.
but your quantum computer doesn't have enough qubits
Right.
to handle it all at once.
Okay.
Circuit knitting lets you break down that big algorithm into smaller chunks
Gotcha.
that can be run sequentially on a smaller computer.
So it's like taking a big problem
Yeah.
and breaking it down into smaller pieces
Breaking it down
Right.
like a jigsaw puzzle.
and then stitching them together.
Exactly.
I can see that.
But, as you can imagine,
Yeah.
there are challenges with circuit knitting.
Of course.
For one thing, it adds overhead.
So it's not as efficient.
Not as efficient.
Yeah.
Every time you have to stitch those circuits together, you lose some efficiency.
So we need more efficient knitting techniques.
We do. Researchers are working on that,
Okay.
trying to minimize that overhead.
And then as we move toward fault-tolerant quantum computing,
Yes.
the software challenges
Oh, yeah.
really explode.
Probably get even more intense
Right.
because now we have to deal with error correction
Right.
on a massive scale.
So it's a whole new level.
It's a whole new level.
And the paper talks about a quantum operating system.
Oh, yes.
And that sounds like a whole other beast.
It is a massive undertaking.
Right.
We need a software layer
Okay.
that can manage all those qubits,
Right.
handle the error correction,
Yeah.
allocate resources.
Wow.
Basically, it's like the conductor of a quantum orchestra,
Okay. I like that.
trying to keep everything in sync.
Oh, it's a tough job.
It's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it.
Right.
And this quantum operating system is going to be crucial, for unlocking the full potential of these machines.
So we've come a long way.
We have.
Right. We started with these individual qubits,
Uh-huh.
and now we're talking about
Entire ecosystems.
quantum operating systems.
It's amazing how quickly things escalate.
It is.
But we're not done yet.
Oh, no.
We still have to talk about fault-tolerant quantum computing.
Okay.
That's where things get really interesting. Fault-tolerant quantum computing.
right. So
That's the next frontier.
the holy grail we were talking about.
It is the holy grail where
What
things
is-
get really interesting.
Tell me more.
So fault-tolerant quantum computing, or FTQC.
Right. FTQC.
It's where we can finally overcome the fragility of these qubits
Okay.
and perform really long, complex calculations
That's the dream.
with incredible accuracy.
But how do we get there? How do we actually achieve this fault tolerance?
Well, it sounds like magic,
It does.
But it's not magic.
Okay.
It's really clever engineering.
Tell me about it.
The key is something called quantum error correction codes, or QECCs for short.
QECCs, okay.
And these codes allow us to encode quantum information redundantly.
So like backups.
Yeah, like backups across multiple physical qubits.
So instead of having one qubit carrying all the information,
we spread it out.
We spread it out.
Over multiple qubits.
Okay, so it's like...
kind of like RAID for hard drive?
Yeah, RAID for qubits.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that.
And the paper specifically talked about surface codes.
Surface codes.
Which are a type of QECC that only require local interactions between qubits.
So they're easier to implement.
Yeah, easier to implement on a chip.
But the paper also mentioned magic state distillation.
Now that sounds like magic.
That sounds pretty magical.
It does, doesn't it?
It does.
And it's another essential piece for achieving this universal quantum computation with FTQC.
So what is magic state distillation?
It allows us to create these special resource states called magic states.
Magic states.
Which we can then use to perform a wider range of quantum operations.
So they're like special ingredients.
Exactly. They're like special ingredients.
You can unlock new possibilities.
New possibilities in our quantum kitchen.
I like that.
Okay.
So we're using these error correction codes.
Yes.
And magic state distillation to tame the quantum beast.
Trying to wrangle it into submission.
But even with all of this, isn't there still a massive overhead?
There is.
In terms of the qubits we need?
Yeah, FTQC requires a lot of physical qubits to create even a small number of these error-protected logical qubits.
How many are we talking?
Potentially billions.
The billions.
Billions of physical qubits to get to the millions of logical qubits that we need for these transformative applications.
That's a lot of qubits.
It's a lot.
So what do we do? I mean,
well, that's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Researchers are starting to explore this idea of distributed FTQC.
Okay, so like a network of quantum computers.
Exactly, like a quantum internet.
A quantum internet.
Where each quantum computer is a node in this vast network.
So they're all working together.
All working together.
Wow, that's mind-blowing.
It is pretty mind-blowing.
But also really complicated.
It is.
Right, coordinating all of that.
We need to rethink a lot of things.
Like what?
Like how we design the interconnects between these quantum processors and how we develop these quantum operating systems.
Right, to manage it all.
To manage this complex distributed system.
So it's like we're not just building quantum computers anymore. We're building a whole new infrastructure.
A quantum internet.
A quantum internet.
That's amazing.
And the paper really emphasizes the need for continued innovation in all these areas, like circuit knitting, FTQC compilers, and real-time decoders.
So we need all these tools. We need all these tools to make this vision a reality.
It's crazy to think that we started talking about individual qubits.
Right.
And now we're talking about
entire quantum ecosystems.
Quantum internets.
It's been quite a journey.
It has been a journey.
But we can't lose sight of the ultimate goal.
Right. We have to find applications.
We have to find real-world applications.
For these quantum computers.
Because it's not just about building the most powerful machine.
No.
It's about using that power to solve real problems.
To make a difference.
To make a difference in the world.
And the paper talks about some pretty exciting applications.
It does.
Like what?
Like quantum simulation.
Okay, so simulating things.
Yeah, simulating things that are impossible to simulate on a classical computer.
Like what kind of things?
Like the behavior of molecules at the atomic level.
Okay.
This could revolutionize drug discovery.
So we could design new drugs?
Yes. Design new drugs, new materials.
Wow.
Leading to breakthroughs in energy, medicine, you name it.
It's like unlocking the secrets of the universe.
It is. It's incredibly exciting.
It is.
And that's what makes this field so compelling.
I can see that.
The path to building these quantum supercomputers is long.
Yeah.
And it's full of challenges.
It definitely is.
But the potential rewards are just immense.
Okay, I'm blown away.
Good, I'm glad.
We've talked about battling cosmic rays.
We have.
We've talked about building quantum internets.
Quantum operating systems.
I mean, it's a whole new world.
It is a whole new world.
It really feels like we're on the verge of a technological revolution.
It does feel that way, doesn't it?
It does.
And it makes you wonder what the world's going to look like.
Yeah.
When we have these machines at our fingertips.
It's a big question.
A big question.
And I don't know if we have the answer to that.
I don't know either.
But it's definitely exciting to think about.
It is. That's what makes it fun.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive
My pleasure.
into the world of quantum supercomputers.
It's been fun.
It has been an incredible journey.
It is.
And until next time,
Yes.
keep exploring.
Always keep exploring.
We'll see you on our next deep dive into who knows what.
Who knows?